What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to 8 Cubes. I'm KMBest. He's Lamby Series. I'm hopeful that you'll be able to tell us apart. We're going to start with the 8 most important topics in Marvel Snap. We're also going to finish with the 8 most important topics in Marvel Snap because that is actually the entirety of this show. To begin, we have Stryfe, a 4/6 objective card whose objective is play 3 on reveal cards and whose payoff is use the highest cost on reveal in your hand. I've seen a lot of speculation about how this card works. I tend to take a pretty Occam's razor-y approach. Use here means use as in fire hair, not use as in consume the text of the card in your hand. It just means get a card that does what the on reveal does. A la fire hair, a la, let's say, Silver Surfer First Steps. That's what this card is actually doing. So there are 2 dragons that stand out in terms of I would like to activate these on reveals. Fin Fang Foom, and then, of course, Shou Lao. Do you see anything other than that you think this card will be a major party to? Or is it really just piggybacking the 2 big dragons in the metagame?
Yeah, I'll be very honest. Okay, firstly, it's great to be back. But also I'll be very honest, right? This feels like one of the because objective cards are like currently the new in thing in Marvel Snap, right? Like all the new cards are like objective based for the most part. This one feels like one of the easiest to just do, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just so convenient. It's just play 3 on reveals. Yeah. So achieving it is the easy part. And then now we're talking a bit about the payoff, right? Because I mean if the easy part is achieving it, you need the payoff to be good as well. So I do agree, and I think the Fin Fang Foom one is a huge deal, right? Because use the highest cost on review in your hand. With Fin Fang Foom, you guarantee it, right? Like with that as the like end game power for this card, like you guarantee it. Like because if you do something like sorry, like you try and do something with like maybe multiple 6 cost on reviews in your deck, you never guarantee exactly what you want, you know. So maybe there is like 2 6 cost on reviews that are just perfect enough that either is fine in generic situations, and maybe that's like a potential end game. But with the Fing Fang Foom one, I really like that one because you know that's it. You know, like that's gonna be the highest one in your hand, and the impact is pretty big if you pull it off, right? We get the effect off on the board. So yeah, that's what I really like about this card actually. And also, like I said, it's easy to do. This card, this card's power is also the fact that it's like easy to do. That's what I think.
There's another aspect to this card, though, and I'm not going to say, like, oh, well, you have to draw the Fin Fang, or, oh, well, you have to draw the Shilla, because, like, yeah, of
Yeah.
course you do, right? The real other aspect to this card for me is, like, what are the situations where this is specifically better than Absorbing Man? And I bring that up to say that this is a 4/6, Absorbing Man is a 4/5. When someone
Mhm.
asked me that question, my instinctive answer was that I would always rather have the one that works preemptively rather than the
Mhm.
one that works only after I have played the card. But I can't exactly explain why beyond, like, Cosmic Ghost Rider. It lets me have more, it lets me choose not to play the card if I want to, things like that. Like, I'm a little more free in terms of my play patterns. What is it to you? Because, like, I feel like you probably have the same instinct. It's a very, like, card gamer instinct to have, is like, I would always rather play the one that lets me keep the actual card in my hand rather than playing out the actual card and risking something happening to it. Is that actually a real concern, or is that just like a vibe feeling that we get from other games that we need to sort of cut off like a vestigial tail?
Yeah, so what you're trying to say is, I get what you're trying to say. Is basically like would you like rather play a copy of the thing and then keep the option of having the thing still in your hand, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to say.
Like, is that
Yeah,
actually an upgrade, or is that just like something we internalized from being good at other card games?
it's for sure it's for sure a very feels good feeling, right? Like if you know that you're playing the first part, the first version of your OP card, and then you might be able to play the OP card thereafter. It's a very feels good card gamer feeling. I agree. In this case though, I feel like if your deck can actually play this, I'm using the Fin Fang Foom example very strongly again. Like if you can play this, do the Fin Fang Foom thing, and then play the actual card later in the game if you have the time. It's very powerful, honestly. It's a very, very powerful thing to do. So I don't know if a deck built around this can effectively do both consistently, but the fact that like this allows you to get it out like earlier and for cheaper,
Yeah.
like it's probably a thing. But yes, I do agree that like for the most part, having like backup copy of the best thing in your deck feels very good.
The other thing I was thinking about is, like, you need a deck that's able to also play the Fin Fang Foom, because I kind of think you're
Correct.
DOA if you're just like I'm going to have the Fin Fang Foom for the Stryfe and then not ever cast the Fin Fang Foom. Like, just put a Luna Snow in your deck, right? Like, just allow yourself the option to actually play 2 Fin Fang Fooms. The 2 spaces I've been kicking around for Stryfe are in a Star-Lord list, where I'm just doing a bunch of stuff, and, like, he can be whatever. I don't care what he is. The whole deck is about duplicating stuff. I run Absorbing Man anyway. I'll let him do whatever it is he's going to do, and I'll probably be happy with it. The second is, I kind of think that he goes in like a Pixie Sholau list with Pixie and Mobius and Fin Fang Foom and Sholau. And I've been playing a bit of that list already with Rama-Tut in it. I can see him going there. What I don't think he does is go in decks that are not able to cast a Fin Fang Foom or whatever target they're going to be using for him. I don't think he's going to be able to carry you if you're not going to be able to cast the card. Like, if you have a dead card in your deck, I don't think he's worth it.
Yeah, no, you definitely don't want to be playing this card if you can't actually cast the card, right? Because the whole reason why you want to like get that on review is because you want the power of that card, you know. So I agree with you there. Yeah, the Luna Snow thing is interesting, right? She's on review as well, right? Contributes towards this one as well. Gets you a bit ahead of the curve to go like skip a turn in terms of like ramp and stuff like that. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I actually cannot see the deck, by the way. I actually don't really know what the deck is.
Don't worry about it.
Straight up the 12 cards, yeah. But I like the interaction.
Next up is Wolverine Horseman of War, a card I think people misread multiple ways. Wolverine Horseman of War is a 4/3 with an objective that says, when I get to 5 power, basically. This card has 5 power. And when that happens, he will give 3 power to a card at each location. First things first, that includes his location. So people look at him and they're like, oh, it's like a 4/9. No, it's like a 4/12 if you get it to 5 power. The thing that really strikes me about this card, though, is basically all of his power is going to be wrapped up in how good you are at using that buff. Like, the question for this card, for me, is how many cards we have in a deck that we can just put all the buff cards in a deck and just be like, these are cards that both benefit from and hand out buffs. Captain Carter. You put a Wolverine behind a Captain Carter, that's 2 power. He's at 5. Done. Quest is done. You put an Agony on a Wolverine, quest is done. Very reasonably easy to do. But what you're going to want to do with this is use his buff on a Captain Carter. Use his buff on a Maverick. Use his buff on an Agony. So we need cards, like, how many cards can we get in a deck that are both input and output for this guy? Because that's where his actual power is going to be. I don't know that he'll be able to shine until something gets done about Sholau. Because the problem with playing all of those cards is they're just better if you're going to put 15 points of power on one of them than it is to point distributed 3 points of power across a bunch of them. But I do think this card has a chance at being a sleeper, because I can very easily see a world in which buff slop as an archetype, just all the buff cards that all feed into each other, is just a thing that is good. I can absolutely see that world.
Yeah, so I agree in the fact that like because now just buffing cards alone is not enough, right? You need to buff cards that compound as well, correct? So
Yep.
the whole buffing like Mavericks and all that kind of stuff makes a lot of sense, because you want your buff on one guy to just compound. So what is the deck then? What is the I mean, we know we want the buff cards. We will know we want the cards that compound from getting buffed. Like, so what is this deck? Like, what are we
I don't
looking at
know,
actually,
like,
essentially?
my sketch of it is basically, you have Wolverine, you have Surge, you have Maverick, Agony, Captain Carter. You have probably a Brood as payoff. Maybe you're doing
Right.
Viv Vision. Maybe that gives you like a, Hydra Bob early, Iron Patriot. And we're just like playing good cards into buff slop and snowballing the game. Like, that's kind of as far as I've gotten with the sort of sketch that exists in my head. But that's basically where my head is at, where it's just like, sometimes I'll like Surge and Viv Vision this Wolverine and he'll just be 5 power, right? Like, sometimes he'll just do that and that'll be awesome. And then the rest of the time I'm just playing a lot of Captain Carters. I'm playing a lot of, Mavericks. I'm just doing things that are large and diffuse and big. And it just kind of seems like a space that is going to be like at least kind of B tier. You know what I mean? Like,
Correct.
I don't think it's going to be Sholau level good, but it is the kind of thing that's like directly in competition with Sholau and probably losing that competition. But there's a lot of things that are in that space. Like, it can be a very reasonable deck. Like, this feels like very, like, you put it together and it's like, I don't know, this feels kind of Doom 2099-ish, you know? Like, that's kind of the space I envision for it.
Yeah, I mean, you literally hit the nail on the head, like what I was thinking about. Like, because like I look at all these buff stuff, and then I look at like I cannot get rid of the fact that Xiaolao, like I cannot get rid of Xiaolao from my head. Like
Yeah.
when you think of this buff stuff that
He's
compound,
just
you're
better.
like, yeah.
Next is Techno-Organic Virus. This is a weird card because half of it doesn't exist on the card. It's like in the tooltip or like in the little like reminder text behind it. But the way this card works is it is a 1-cost skill. It infects the cards at the location you play it. And infects means it replaces their text with the following. Ongoing, this card has +1 power for each Techno-Organic Virus you've played. Then Techno-Organic Virus puts a copy of itself in your hand. That copy costs 2 more than the current cost of Techno-Organic Virus. So first things first, I don't want to ever do that. This goes, Mobius goes in every deck I play with this card. Like, that's just how it's going.
I mean, is it just me? I don't see it. I don't see why this is good. I don't see why this card is good, man. Do you what do you think, KM? Because like honestly, I look at this.
I want to let you cook. I want to let you cook.
Okay, no,
go cook.
My cook is that I don't think this is good because
yes, I want go cook.
Okay, so basically you blank the text of your card on board, right?
You replace it with an ongoing.
All the cards here, by the way, I just read it again. It says, in fact, your other cards here, not just one, you blank all of it.
All of them.
And then you add an expensive version of it to your hand, which, yes, if you play the second and the third, and even if you could play the fourth one, you get like buffs for each one you've played.
It scales pretty heavily, right? Like it goes from 3 points of power. You put one on a different lane, then they all get +2. Those first lane goes from a +1 buff to a +2. Like, you don't find anything
this
appealing.
This scaling is impossible without Mobius.
Yes, it is pretty impossible without Mobius.
Impossible without Mobius because you're not playing real cards, man. You're not playing real cards if you don't have the discount of the Mobius to make every single extra copy.
Yes, if you don't have a Mobius, you don't have stuff to hit with this. That is true. If you don't have the Mobius, you are not hitting cards with this. But just as like a reverse Sauron, you probably put it in that deck. Like, that deck probably just wants this at 1 cost and only plays it once and does not care. True. I kind of wonder about the Rocks deck with this. Like, again, it's probably Cove. But I kind of wonder about the Rocks deck with this because the Rocks deck is really good at getting a bunch of stuff in a bunch of lanes. And Ozymandias isn't Patriot. He targets rocks even if those rocks have abilities or power or whatever. He's still targeting the rocks. So if you can get the Mobius down, if you can be like Pixie Mobius, Ozymandias, you're playing Debris, you're playing this, you're doing stuff. It's like there's points there. I don't find it like particularly incredibly compelling. To be honest, I find Buff Slop probably a little more compelling. Like, if we're talking about Wolverine and like whatever Buff Slop thing that we know is worse than Sholau, I find it a little more compelling than this, which is probably a bad sign for this. But it is like a thing that can be done, I suspect. Rama-Tut, Marvel Snap's Yogg-Saron in the sense that he's really not Marvel Snap's Yogg-Saron. He's more like Marvel Snap's Yogg's Puzzle Box. Just a lot lower ceiling. The only 2 spaces I see existing for Rama-Tut into the near future are you put him in Arishem and he just does something on turn 3 and that's fine. And I was using him in like a Wong deck because Wong sort of X4s him. Because Wong doubles his on reveal and then also all the other on reveals that you play there. And it's like, okay, that's the only card that goes exponential with Wong, and I do like that. Long term, I don't know how viable it is, but there really isn't another card that's doing that. There's no other card that you just play a Wong and X4 with it the way an Invisible Woman and a Prodigy go X4, right? It just doesn't work that way for Wong. And so I do like that he does that. I gotta tell you, I'm not like overwhelmingly overjoyed with the card. I appreciate that he has those very specific niches because I just can't imagine you want this card to actually be as good as Yogg-Saron was in Hearthstone. But largely, I think 3 is not enough for a card to be Yogg-Saron, whereas 12 probably is. And my contention is this is not Yogg-Saron until you put a Wong next to him. And then he gets to Yogg-Saron. And I think I think this card is fairly compelling, but not out competing other things in the space. Like, it's not a coincidence that these are the slots I'm looking at cutting from my list to get like Stryfe Fin Fang Foom stuff in there, which is just going to be high output, more guaranteed. And I think that like largely Rama-Tut is what he should be, like kind of a meme card, kind of a gag. But I do think it is non-zero actually compelling that there is a card that goes X4 on a Wong. There aren't any other cards that do that.
My take on this card is quite interesting. So I think this card is, you cannot take this card seriously in Marvel Snap. Okay, let me give you an example. So basically, the Yogg-Saron example is very good. So Yogg-Saron in Hearthstone, you guys can Google it. It's basically just the epitome of randomness in Hearthstone. That was a card that you could play in your deck because Hearthstone has no retreat button.
Yeah.
Like, Yogg-Saron is the ultimate bailout. Like, if all things go to crap, you have a reset button that may or may not work because you're probably going to lose anyway. And Yogg-Saron is a card that just may reset the game in your favor. Whereas for something like Rama-Tut, firstly, it's only 3 on reviews. That's one. I don't think it's enough as well. Secondly, I think in games that you're supposed to lose, you just retreat, right? This card saving you in games that are already lost is complete Hail Mary, right? Like, you never know.
It's
right? You
negative
play in a
EV
winning
because the positive
Correct.
EV would be to retreat.
Correct. The positive EV is just leave. This card is just not supposed to be serious in Marvel Snap, just because the game mechanic allows you to not have to try to win unwinnable games, you know? If this was a card in any other card game as a bailout button, it makes sense because you have to win the game, right? Whereas for Marvel Snap, losing less is winning. And this card incentivizes you to
It incentivizes you to have higher risk. I mean, it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Like, you'd kind of have to do a bit of math on that, where it's like, if I play this Rama-Tut, do I have above a 33% chance to win the game or a 25% chance to win the game? And he's like, what are the on reveals I can possibly hit? It's interesting because like you are supposed to retreat less than people retreat, right? The EV of staying is often a lot higher than people are willing to give it credit for. But Rama-Tut is such a large pool. It's 108 on reveals, and you have to get like a specific combination to them to win the game. You're supposed to leave. Whereas in any other game, you don't have the option to leave.
Yeah.
We talked about the 3 cards coming out, and I keep coming back to one card that is going to interact with these cards, and that is Mobius. So I would imagine Mobius is guaranteed in anyone playing Techno-Organic Virus. I would imagine one of the Stryfe Fin Fang Foom decks is going to be Pixie Mobius. Maybe the Stryfe Fin Fang Foom deck is going to be Pixie Mobius. That's certainly where I'm going to start. Are we about to enter a Mobius week? Is it about to be the week of Mobius on this first week of release? And if so, is that a further argument to just play Wolverine Buff Slop if you're going to be a hipster and play one of these new cards? We know it's actually an argument to just play the best Sholau deck. But like, let's say you wanted to play one of these new cards and be cool. Is it just a Wolverine Buff Slop angle because the Mobius people are going to fight each other to death?
I mean, okay, so yeah, you already said it, right? You want to win games, just put Mobius in your Sholau deck. That's one. But other than that, like I always feel like Mobius weeks, like cards that release and are powerful but lose to Mobius, those weeks become unfun within the first 24 hours. Like people will be playing the fun stuff and then like they realize they just auto lose to Mobius and they put the Mobius in the deck and then it becomes boring again. But like the funny thing is, if these decks actually lose very hard to Mobius, then these decks probably don't stay as meta decks or popular decks for long anyway, you know. But like I really hope so my personal hope is that like these new cards give birth to decks that don't straight up just lose to Mobius. That is what I want to happen, you know. But I do think that I agree that like playing Mobius makes a lot of sense on week 1, right? Like it's good in Pixie stuff, and then like you want to play TOV, you kind of have to play Mobius as well. So I think yes, we will see uptick Mobius. But then if your deck loses to Mobius after the uptick, then it's probably not that good of a deck, you know, in the current meta.
The nerf to Star-Lord has left the combo sector of the meta totally bereft of decks. Like, right now, my best pitch for what the best combo deck in the game is activate Sholau. It's just, that's a combo deck, you know? Like, I'm playing Jocasta and activating my Scarlet Spider 5 times, and you know what? That's a combo deck. I have
It
the
is.
interaction in the deck is Merlin and Spider-Ham. That's not really a mid-range deck anymore, is it? Like that's combo deck. It's combo deck, right? Like I'm doing Omega Sentinel lasers 5 to 10 times or something. You know, I'm firing 5 Omega Sentinel lasers, and you're telling me I'm not a combo deck. I feel like I'm a combo deck, and so you have an archetype that just like every time the problem is I don't know how they're what I really want to talk about is I don't know how they're supposed to make a good new combo deck. Because every time they make a good new combo deck, people hate it. You know? I expect people to get mad when they nerfed Star-Lord to 5 cost. I expected a lot of anger about that. It's like a season pass card. I can't believe you guys did this. That deck is still playable. Not great, but still playable, mostly because everyone took out all the stuff that was in their decks to beat it, right? So I actually had a better run with it than when it was a better deck, because when it was a better deck, everyone was playing stuff that was good into it. And now it's like there's just no antibodies. You know, it's you at the convention. It's just the convention sickness is just running through you. And you cannot do 8 cubes this week because of it. And like that is how it felt playing Star-Lord right now. The deck is so much worse, but nobody's prepared for it, so you just win anyway. And it's like, I guess I don't care that I'm that much worse, but every time what I'm getting at is they make a good combo deck. Those are like the number one hate targets. They do like a good combo deck. Everyone can tell how good it is. Everyone hates it. And so then it's like, okay, they nerf that combo deck. We're back to playing Living Tribunal, Mr. Negative without Star-Lord, or sometimes with Star-Lord still, but it's a lot worse. And it's like, we had something that was really redefining the combo deck space. And every time we get that thing, it gets nerfed in 2 weeks or 2 months or however long it takes. And then we go back to playing cards from 2023. And I kind of wonder if they need to figure out a way to juice those cards up, because it's hard for those 2023 ass combo decks to compete with just show Lao and activate stuff. That seems like a bad space.
Yeah, so if we look at Shallow and Activate, or just Shallow plus like good cards in general, to me that's what we call the definition of power crap mid range, right? Like
Yeah.
Shallow plus like good cards is power crap mid range, and then power crap the combo is the Starlord thing, right?
And they
Power
kill
crap
that.
combo. Okay, I got it. Power crap combo is basically consistency to combo, because like we talked about this a few times, right? We don't need more power in the combo deck. We just need the combo to go off more often, you know. And that's what Starlord did. And then they realized that consistency to the combo deck overpowers, for the most part, a power crap mid range, you know. So what's the solution here? The solution is what? Make mid range even more busted so we can get
Yeah.
the consistent power, consistent combo back again. Because I feel like it's like there's no point printing more combos if they are not consistent, right? Like printing more combos that are not consistent, people don't play them because they lose to the consistency of the mid-range power creep, right? Whereas for Starlord stuff, they gave the combo decks consistency, so you get Mr. Negative, which was there from the start, to become an actual deck because it's a consistent
It
Mr.
gets a
Negative deck.
second Mr. Negative. Yeah.
Exactly. So going forward, how do we make combo a thing without it getting nerfed? I don't know. But I know that giving I don't know, but I know that giving it consistency was the good part of making combo decks better.
We get this question a lot, and I do agree it's a little bit nebulous. So I just want to ask you, what is it that to you makes something a mid-range deck in Marvel Snap? Are there like hard and fast criteria? For me, I think it's a combination of points and interaction in some level.
Mhm.
Like when you think about the current Sholau lists, they're very light on interaction. It's Merlin for Limbo stuff, it's Spider Ham, but it's still there, right? Like there's still like
Yeah.
some acknowledgement that there are going to be decks that can go bigger than you, and those decks need to be at least nominally held back a little bit. Specifically the nod to Magic Limbo by having Merlin in there, like that is relevant, right? Like that's going to be relevant in some of the matchups, right? But that's a really non-mid-rangey mid-range deck, right? So what is it that really feels like the line for you? Because like Invisible Woman First Steps used to be a mid-range deck. Now it's fully a combo deck. It's 12 cards of engine.
Mhm. Yeah, this is very interesting in the context of Marvel Snap, because you need to think of it like a lot of games that define their mid-range decks. It's just like a power of I would define mid-range as like you play the curve, right? You very consistently can curve. You very consistently can like have the best stat output for cost, efficiency. You get to spend all your mana, which I guess this is what we do in Marvel Snap as well. But the thing about Marvel Snap is that like it's not like you run multiple copies of this good card. You only can run one. There's just that one card, right? And then each singular card like gives this amount of stats. And in 12 cards, if most of your cards are just like stat sticks, I guess that's kind of mid range without you having to like I get it. Okay, I know what I'm trying to say. Not each individual card doesn't need to work with a specific other card, right? Mid range piles are usually just like they're just good stats. They are good on curve. You don't need A to do work so that B can work. You know, if you look at most of these mid-range decks, they just play stats. They just play stats, and like it doesn't really matter which one comes first. It doesn't really matter which one goes in this location or that location. It's just like good amount of stats. You play the curve, you spend your mana. So to me, that is mid-range. You know, like you just get efficient stats which don't really need perfect synergy with each other.
What's interesting is I think that there's sort of a new style of, I guess, what you'd call a mid-range deck, but really plays a little more like a combo deck by that definition, where you look at like the Activate Sholau lists or the
Yeah,
Linley V-Hand Gambit lists, where it's like, these are about card A plus card B.
correct.
That's what they are. But they're not always about the same card A plus card B. Like, sometimes the activate lists are about lasering your opponent for minus 35 with an Omega Sentinel. Sometimes they're about big Scarlet Spiders. Sometimes they're about repeatable Mavericks. Sometimes they're about showlowing a Scarlet Spider or a Maverick, but they're not about any one of those things all of the time. They're just about some combination of those things. Or like the V-Hand list. Sometimes they're about copying a V-Hand. Sometimes they're about copying a Gambit. Sometimes they're about copying a Linley. They're about the same things, but they're about different things. And I think that's like a really interesting dynamic, and probably the number one trend coming out of what I guess you'd call the techpocalypse is the mid-range decks have combo elements now that are undeniable.
Yep.
Absolutely undeniable. The only real exceptions, the only honest mid-range deck is just Doom 2099.
Yes.
Pure, which is just a one card combo. It combos with itself. Like it's, and so it's like I think that it's notable that mid-range decks have developed these elements of combo gameplay. They've included them into themselves.
Yeah, so this is why I always find it a bit like I know maybe I don't agree with this 100% when like certain decks are called combo decks or whatsoever. Because to me, like you said, right? Like if I'm playing so and so card that has a combination of users with another card, is that really just a combo deck, right? Like
Yeah.
like you mentioned, right? Like it doesn't it can work with this card, it can work with that card. Is this a combo deck just because I can use this with two different separate cards or something like that? Like or is a combo deck really just a deck built around to do that one special boom thing?
Yeah, like there's
You know?
a difference between Sholau Activate and Living Tribunal. And you're right.
Yeah, exactly.
You asked me to put this one on there, and I want to kind of just know what you're getting at here. Like, is this like
Okay.
a do you think objective is a good mechanic one, or is it like do you think they're landing the plane on objective, or do you want to see more of objective? Where's your head at?
Yeah, so I wanted this topic as the last one because as you can clearly tell, they've been leaning very heavily into objectives for this like set of cards, right? Like my first doomer opinion, because I'm more of a pessimist than an optimist when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like I would like I'm like a guilty unless proven innocent kind of guy. So like objectives feel like they haven't done fantastically so far. Like I'll be very completely honest. I think it's just very like average, you know. But like I just put this topic at the end because I want to kind of know like what do you think is like or what you guys in the audience think like could be like the ceiling for objectives, you know? Because like currently objectives are just very mid to me. Like they're not fantastic. Maybe Stryfe could start the wheel rolling for OP based objectives. Like we started with what was the guy called again? En Sabanor, right? We started with En
Yeah,
Sabanor. The guy just faded into oblivion after a bit.
he's
Like
like around, but not special.
yeah,
Yeah,
but like he doesn't do anything. So
yeah.
like
He,
yeah, so I feel
my take on this is they wanted objective as a mechanic to come out in a month where like it was easy to understand. And
okay.
so
It
they
is
made a
it is
lot of
easy to understand.
cards that were just like, do something, get a reward. And those cards
Mm.
sort of overwhelmingly trend towards being stat sticks. Because again, you're making like
Yes.
the simple versions of these cards, right? So you have here's your 3/4 that afflicts 7, right? That's Caliban. They overwhelmingly trend towards being stat sticks. Not all of them, obviously, because Gambit is a special case in that he's the GOAT. But there's a pretty clear trend there pushing them towards, you know, they're very here's the comp. They're very strong guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they are.
Yeah.
They're very
They're
strong
very
guy.
strong
It's
guy.
like, here's a 2/3, here's a 3/3, here's a card, and then you do a thing, and then it gets 6, and then it gets 7, and they're all kind of like
Yeah, it's
that,
just
right?
yeah.
And
Oh,
I think that doing that is why you feel that way. Because it
correct.
kind of locked them off of actually putting them in spaces that are synergistic with anything, right?
Yeah.
These are just, you know, you put this in your Doom 2099 deck. Like, that's it. What else are you doing with it, right?
Yeah.
They like it's not a
Correct.
coincidence that the one that has synergy, Gambit, that actually ties into an archetype, that's the good one, right?
Mhm.
It's part of why I'm
Yeah.
a little optimistic for Wolverine. It ties into an archetype. It
Mm.
tells you do something with this that isn't just go get stats, right? Juggernaut,
Yes.
do stats, generic mid-range slop stats. Caliban, generic mid-range slop stats. Like, those are only ever going to be as good as the decks they go in. And if you tie them into like generic mid-range slop archetype in a world where even the best mid-range decks are combo decks, well, they're going to be bad. They're going to be bad cards. Like, there's no way around that. So I don't think it's like Objective's fault. I think they made a coherent, a probably smart, honestly, choice to be like, we want these to be simple cards. We want to release this mechanic with the simple cards. We want people to understand what this mechanic is about. We care more about that than these cards specifically being good. So we're going to make them kind of generic. And if you make something generic, we're in a metagame that is really rewarding specificity. Our metagame cares a lot about card A plus card B. Sholau and Maverick. We doubled that, right? You know, to go back 2 weeks, Star-Lord Arnim Zola. We care a lot about specificity right now. Specific output peaks is kind of what we're focusing on. These cards can't do that. They have no ability to do that, which is why, like, I look at like Wolverine, or I look further into the future for like the Storm card that's been data mined, and I'm like, okay, these are actually cards that are like, they tie into something. There's a space for them. They do something. They aren't just like, you know, mid-range slop card number 5. And I think that like what you're picking up on isn't wrong, but it's not a problem with Objective. It's just like they clearly designed this stuff in this way. They were like, we want these to be sort of generic slop guys. And
Yeah.
that's an interesting decision to make, I think.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, right? Like, it has felt underwhelming for me because of exactly what you said, which is Objectives feel like mid-range slop guy number 5, you know, like, or number 4 or number 6. Yeah, I kind of want an okay. This is just personal opinion, but when I look at the word or like the ability of objectives, I'm just like, okay, you need to achieve this goal.
Yeah, you
and
should
then
be big.
Achieving this goal is your 12 card deck. You can build an objective deck, like the
Yeah.
objective. I hit this objective, I Exodia your face or something.
Yes.
I don't know, but that's an objective, right? Exodia
Yes,
your
you
face.
think of like, what is it? The paladin hero with the 4 horsemen. That's what you think of when you think of objective.
Yes, that's an objective.
Yes. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I've been KMBest. He's been Lamby Series, and he's about to take us out.
All right, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
You want to plug your YouTube channel? You're going to be doing some Riftbound stuff in the future, right?
I haven't even started
Okay,
yet, so
all
not
right.
yet.